One of the toughest skills for anyone to master is how to interview someone. Of course, it's almost as important on how to be interviewed, but that we'll deal with that another day. How do you go about interviewing somebody, especially if you're someone like a brand journalist, a journalist in a traditional media sort of role? There are do's and don'ts about what you need to do to interview somebody to get the information you want and to make them feel comfortable as well. And let's get into that 6 tips on how to be an effective interviewer and interview someone as a brand journalist. Number 1, do your homework. Before you ever get to the interview, before you even set up the interview, find out who you need to interview. Research on the internet. Who's the people that are qualified to answer the questions you want answered? Is the person you're about to pick up the phone and set up an interview with qualified to answer those questions? When you get to the interview, before you ever arrive, you need to already have a list of questions. You already need to know that what this person's background is and have an idea of, is this person going to give me the information I need to write a great story for my business or for my website, so forth. So do your homework. Number 2, useful questions. When you're putting your list of questions together, think about the answers that are going to help your target audience. As you're thinking about a story, you've got a story idea of what you want to write, think about how that story is going to help your audience and then playing your questions around that, because the answers you need to provide useful information to your audience. So think about that, and also don't waste the time of your interviewee. Put your questions together, be organized, and don't just string out some random thought questions that may or may not be useful to anybody at all. Number 3, short, simple questions. As you're putting that list together, the questions don't need to be in your thoughts on something and then ask them, what are your thoughts? They need to be short and simple questions that allows the interviewee to respond in a thoughtful manner that can provide you with some useful information. So don't just waste a lot of time by pontificating about what you think is important. Let's hear what the interviewee thinks is important, not the interviewer. Number 4, have a conversation. This is something a lot of people get real uncomfortable when they go to start to interview someone. This is simply a conversation. 2 people, you and the interviewee, communicating. It's not again, this isn't somebody that you maybe are comfortable with around, but you're still 2 people having a conversation. So make them feel at ease. Thank them for before the interview and after the interview and so forth. Just have a conversation. Make it feel very personable. The more relaxed you make the interviewee feel, the more likely they're going to trust you and answer the questions you want. And it's not going to come across awkward, especially if you're doing a video interview for YouTube or something like that. Number 5, listen to the answers. This is critical as you're in the middle of the interview, as you hear someone answer the question. If they don't answer the question, if they dodge the question, be very polite and say, you didn't answer my question. I'm curious about this. Maybe they didn't hear you to begin with. So don't be rude. Don't assume that they're dodging the question, but be very specific about, this is what I want to know. And if they don't answer, try again and look for ways throughout the conversation. If they say something that seems unusual, question them about it. Say, I just want to make sure I understand this correctly, and so forth. Because again, if you don't understand the answers, your audience isn't going to understand them either. You need to fully comprehend what's being said by the interviewee so that you can translate that into a great story. So clarity here. Listen to the answers, and sometimes you will need to veer off your list of questions in order to get further clarification on the story that on an answer that you get. And then finally, number 6, thank you. Thank the interviewee for taking the time to talk to you to get the information you need. You may need this person down the road again, and the more likely that the more this first interview goes, how well it goes, the more likely you're going to be able to get interviews down the road. So those are 6 tips that I would encourage from my years of experience in journalism that any brand journalist or any journalist can use as well. If there's more information, if you have some other tips that you'd like to offer, please visit me at crossdig.com. Contact me. Would love to hear from you. Thanks.